I had always thought I could handle almost anything life threw at me. Financial struggles, family conflicts, work stress. I believed I had the patience, the composure, and the courage to deal with it all. But nothing could have prepared me for the day I faced my wife's affair partner holding a metal pipe, his anger and desperation flashing in his eyes as if I were the enemy in his own warped narrative. That day changed everything, and the way I responded left a mark far beyond the physical threat. It started with subtle signs that something was wrong in my marriage. My wife, Sarah, had become distant over the past few months. She would stay late at work, receive mysterious phone calls she would quickly hide, and occasionally laugh at messages she pretended were just jokes. At first, I tried to rationalize its stress at work, long days, social events, but a quiet suspicion settled in my chest. I couldn't shake it, and eventually, I began noticing patterns too obvious to ignore. One evening, I decided to follow my instincts. I checked her phone when she left the room and discovered messages between her and another man. Flirty, secretive, intimate. It wasn't a harmless connection, it was an affair. Rage surged, but I didn't react immediately. I wanted to confront her, yes, but I also wanted to understand the depth of the situation. Days later, I confronted Sara at home, keeping my voice calm but firm. She denied it at first, stammering through half-truths, but the evidence was undeniable. She finally admitted it, though there was no remorse in her words, only an attempt to minimize her actions. I could feel the anger building inside me, but I stayed composed, realizing that the real confrontation would come from someone else, the man who had decided he owned her. Loyalty. It happened a week later. I was at home when there was a sudden crash outside. The door burst open, and there he was, the man she had been seeing. His face was red with rage, his hands gripping a metal pipe as if he intended to teach me a lesson I would never forget. "Stay away from her," he shouted, the metallic weight of the pipe emphasizing his threat. I could have panicked. I could have shouted, fought, or backed away. But something inside me clicked. I realized that fear was exactly what he wanted, and giving in would only embolden him further. I stood my ground, my heart racing, but my mind clear. "I'm not going to fight you," I said calmly, my voice steady. "You can swing that pipe, and it won't change anything. You're threatening me over someone who made her own choices. You're angry, yes, but your anger is misdirected." His eyes widened slightly, as if he hadn't expected me to respond like that. "You don't understand. She's mine. Stay away." I shook my head slowly. "No, she is not yours. She is hers. And whatever choices she made, they're between her and me. You threatening me with a pipe changes nothing about that. You're just proving your own insecurity, not mine." He hesitated, the pipe trembling slightly in his hands. I could feel the power of the moment shift. My composure, my refusal to react with fear, seemed to destabilize him. He lunged once, swinging the pipe, but I didn't flinch. I stood still, meeting his gaze steadily, letting him realize that brute force would not intimidate me. "You think fear controls me?" I said, my voice low but unwavering. "It doesn't. Violence doesn't give you control over people. Actions, choices, and respect do. And you have neither." For a few seconds, the room was silent except for heavy breathing and the faint creak of the wooden floor. Then slowly he dropped the pipe, as if the weight of my words, my calm, and my refusal to be intimidated had shaken him more than he expected. Sara stood behind him, her face pale, finally realizing the chaos she had caused. She tried to step forward, to apologize, to justify, but it was too late. The moment had already revealed the full impact of betrayal, threats, and the consequences of choices made without consideration. I didn't yell, I didn't attack, I didn't make a scene. I simply remained steady, allowing the reality of the situation to settle. The man had threatened me physically, but it was my calm, my unwavering stance, and my refusal to be manipulated by fear that truly disarmed him. After he left, still shaken and muttering under his breath, I turned to Sara. Her eyes were wide, guilt and fear intertwining. "Do you see what your choices have caused?" I asked quietly. "This isn't just about betrayal. It's about consequences. It's about the lives that get tangled up when trust is broken." She nodded silently, unable to meet my eyes. For the first time, the reality of her actions and the danger they had invited hit her fully. Her affair hadn't just hurt me emotionally. It had almost escalated to violence, and the consequences could have been catastrophic. In the days that followed, I maintained the same calm demeanor. I didn't seek revenge in the conventional sense. I didn't lash out or humiliate her publicly. My revenge was in my composure, my refusal to be shaken, and the undeniable demonstration that betrayal cannot control someone who remains unbroken. The affair, the threats, the lies, all of it had consequences, and I let the weight of those consequences unfold naturally. Sara attempted to speak, to negotiate, to rationalize, but each time I reminded her calmly of the severity of the situation. "You chose this," I would say. "You chose to betray trust. You chose to involve someone else. And now you have to live with the ripple effects." The lesson was clear. Fear is a tool of manipulation, but courage and composure can neutralize it. Threats may be loud and physical, but true power lies in calm resolve, in refusing to be intimidated, and letting betrayal and deceit face the undeniable force of integrity. That night, when I reflected on what had happened, I realized that my quiet refusal had shaken everything, her sense of control, his aggression, and the entire dynamic of our relationship. I hadn't needed to fight to assert myself. I hadn't needed to escalate. I had simply refused to be a victim, refused to be manipulated, and refused to allow fear to dictate the outcome. The metal pipe incident became a turning point, a moment where betrayal, danger, and courage intersected. Sara understood the gravity of her actions more fully than ever before, and the man, once filled with rage, had been rendered powerless by my calm and resolve. I had taken control not through violence, but through presence, clarity, and an unshakable sense of self. In the end, betrayal carries consequences beyond emotional pain. It can invite real danger, reveal character, and test the limits of courage. And sometimes the most devastating response isn't anger. It's calm, deliberate action. It's standing firm when others expect you to crumble. It's letting truth and integrity shake everything the betrayer thought they controlled. That day, when a man had threatened me with a metal pipe over someone else's choice, I didn't flinch. I didn't retaliate. I simply refused to give him power over me, and in doing so, I shook everything, my life, theirs, and the fragile illusion of control they had believed they possessed. Betrayal had consequences, and calm courage proved far more devastating than any act of rage could have been.